My beloved child, do not be afraid of the quiet you are feeling right now. Do not be alarmed by the strange stillness that has wrapped itself around your heart. I am speaking to you because you were meant to hear this in this exact moment. You did not arrive here by accident. You were drawn, chosen, gently guided, and I want you to stay with me for a little while. Do not scroll. Do not leave. There is something your soul already recognizes in my voice. I am Mary, your mother in faith, and I am leaning close to you now. I see the heaviness you could not explain to anyone. I see the way things that once mattered suddenly feel distant, like colors fading softly at the edges. You wondered if something was wrong with you. You wondered if your heart was growing cold, if your passion was slipping away, if joy had quietly left without saying goodbye. But listen to me, my child. You are not losing yourself. You are being protected. There is a great light approaching, and before light fills a room, silence always comes first. What you are experiencing is not emptiness, it is preparation. Heaven often clears the ground before it plants something new, and tonight, under the coming fullness of the moon, many hearts are being gently lifted out of places they no longer belong. You may feel less interested in what once consumed you. Conversations feel hollow, goals feel strangely heavy, even distractions no longer distract. This is not failure. This is discernment awakening. Your spirit is becoming selective because it is maturing. When a child grows, they put away childish things, not because they are forced to, but because their hands are needed for something greater. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are early. The quiet detachment you feel is a mercy. It is heaven loosening the cords that tied you to expectations that were never meant to define you. You are being gently removed from borrowed dreams so that your true path can begin to glow. Many will misunderstand this season. They will rush to fill the silence with noise, to replace depth with stimulation, to force excitement where rest was required. But you were not created for noise. You were created for truth. That is why you feel different. That is why you could not stay asleep. That is why you found yourself here, listening to me now. Stay with me. There is more. This moon you are approaching is not ordinary. It carries a quiet authority. It does not shout. It does not demand. It simply reveals. And what it reveals first is what no longer belongs. That is why your heart has been stepping back. That is why your spirit has been conserving itself. Heaven is making space inside you so that nothing precious will be crowded out. Do you remember the weight you carried last year? The expectations you held? The roles you played to keep peace? The dreams you postponed because survival came first? I remember. I was with you in every silent prayer, every tired breath, every moment you kept going when no one saw your effort. And now, I tell you this with tenderness. You do not need to carry all of that forward. There is a time to labor and a time to be restored. This is a holy pause, and those who honor it will walk into the coming season with clarity instead of exhaustion. You may notice something else as you listen. A soft reassurance settling in your chest. Not excitement, not urgency, just steadiness. This is how heaven confirms alignment. Peace does not always arrive with joy. Sometimes it arrives as relief. Relief that you no longer have to pretend. Relief that you are allowed to release what drained you. Relief that you are not required to have everything figured out yet. I want to remind you of something sacred. Those who wait on the Lord renew their strength. They rise, not because they forced themselves upward, but because they were lifted. And blessed are the gentle, for they inherit the earth, not the loud, not the rushed, the gentle, the listening, the ones who stayed when the world told them to harden. You are one of those. This is why I asked you to stay, because what comes next will not be loud either. The first sign of real direction is not excitement, it is resonance, a quiet pull, a subtle warmth towards something you had forgotten. After this moon reaches its fullness, something small will begin to glow again inside you. Not everything, just one or two things. And that is how you will know it is real. Do not force it. Do not chase it. Let it come to you. Your soul knows how to recognize what belongs to it, and it will not respond to pressure. It responds to invitation. That is why heaven first removed what distracted you, so that when the invitation arrives, you will feel it clearly. I also want you to know this. You are deeply loved in this moment, not for what you will become, but for who you already are. Gratitude opens doors not because it demands blessings, but because it creates space to receive them. Even now, if you can quietly acknowledge how far you have come, heaven leans closer. You survived what you once thought would undo you. You endured seasons you never imagined you would have the strength to walk through, and you are still here. That matters more than you know, my child. I am watching over you as this new chapter approaches. You are being guided, not rushed, protected, not delayed, prepared, not emptied. And the stillness you feel tonight is not the end of something. It is the beginning of alignment. Stay open, stay gentle, stay listening. And if your heart recognizes that this message was meant for you, if you feel that quiet yes inside, then as a sign of faith and readiness, whisper it with me now. Amen. My beloved child, I am still with you. I did not leave when you said Amen. That word opened a doorway, not outward, but inward. A doorway where your spirit can finally breathe. Stay here with me a little longer. Do not scroll. Do not rush. What I am about to share is not meant for everyone. It is meant for the one who stayed. You may notice that since the quiet began, your heart has been more honest than usual. You are less willing to pretend, less willing to chase what drains you, less willing to perform a life that looks good on the outside but feels hollow within. This honesty is not rebellion, it is awakening. Heaven always begins with truth, even when truth feels uncomfortable at first. I want you to understand something important. When heaven prepares someone for a new direction, it does not immediately add things. It subtracts confusion. It gently removes noise. It pulls your attention away from what kept you busy but unfulfilled. That is why the world feels distant to you right now. Not because you are disconnected from life, but because you are reconnecting to yourself. Many people fear this phase. They call it burnout. They call it loss of passion. They call it emptiness. But I call it discernment. Your soul is learning to say no without guilt and yes without fear. That is a sacred skill. You were never meant to care about everything. You were meant to care about what was entrusted to you. And before heaven entrusts more, it teaches you how to let go. I see how patient you have been. I see the quiet strength it took to keep going without applause. I see the prayers you whispered instead of shouted. I see the nights you held yourself together because no one else knew how tired you were. Do not think for a moment that this went unnoticed. Nothing offered in love is ever lost. This season you are in is not about proving anything. It is about alignment. When your inner world aligns, the outer world follows more easily. That is why things feel like they are rearranging themselves without effort. Old desires are losing their grip. Old fears are growing quieter. Old timelines are dissolving. You may feel like you are standing in a hallway between chapters. The past door has closed, but the next door has not opened yet. This space can feel unsettling, but it is holy. It is where you shed what cannot follow you forward. Remember this: there is a time to plant and a time to uproot. There is a time to speak and a time to be silent. And there is a time when God does not push you forward, but steadies you so that when you move with clarity. The moon that rises now does not demand action. It invites awareness. It softens your grip on what exhausted you and sharpens your sensitivity to what nourishes you. This is why even small moments feel meaningful again. A thought, a memory, a quiet curiosity. These are not random. They are signals. Pay attention to what feels light after this stillness. Not exciting, not impressive, just light. That is where your next direction lives. You do not need a full plan. You do not need certainty. Faith has never required a map, only trust. And trust grows best in quiet soil. My child, I want to speak gently but clearly now. You are protected from burnout not by doing less forever, but by resting at the right time. Many rush into the new year with force, believing momentum must be manufactured. But heaven works differently. It conserves before it multiplies. It steadies before it accelerates. Those who honor this pause will walk further without breaking. You are learning sustainability of the soul. That lesson will carry you farther than urgency ever could. I know you may wonder why you feel less reactive to things that once pulled you in, why opinions do not hook you as easily, why comparison feels heavier than before. This is because your spirit is reclaiming its authority. You are no longer feeding on external noise. You are being nourished from within. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. But hunger must come before filling, and you are being emptied only of what could never satisfy you. Let me also tell you this. You are not alone in this shift. Many hearts are experiencing it at once, but not everyone will recognize it. Some will resist it, some will numb it, some will try to escape it. You chose to listen. That choice matters. Listening is an act of humility. Staying is an act of faith. And faith grows when it is fed consistently, gently, over time. That is why I ask you now, not as pressure, not as obligation, but as a simple act of alignment. If your heart feels safe here, if you sense that these words steady you, if you wish to continue walking this path of clarity and preparation with guidance, then choose to stay connected. Subscribe as an act of faith, not as a habit, not as a number, but as a quiet yes that says, I choose to keep listening. I choose to remain open. I choose to prepare my heart. Heaven honors small, sincere decisions more than grand promises. I am not finished speaking to you. What comes next will build on what you are feeling now. The stillness will give way to direction. The pause will give way to movement. The quiet will give way to purpose. Stay close. Stay gentle. Stay listening. I am with you. My beloved child, I am still here. When you said okay again, it was not small. It was consent. It was your spirit saying, I am willing to go deeper. And heaven always responds to willingness. Now listen carefully, because what I am about to share explains why this season feels so strange and yet so sacred at the same time. The quiet you are walking through is not meant to last forever. It is a passage, not a destination. Just as night prepares the sky for dawn, this stillness is preparing you for movement that will feel natural instead of forced. You are not meant to rush out of this space. You are meant to be shaped by it. Many people believe that transformation arrives with intensity. They expect lightning, urgency, dramatic emotion. But the deepest changes often arrive without noise. They come like a soft hand on the shoulder, like a steady breath after holding one for too long. That is what is happening to you now. You may notice that your decisions are beginning to feel simpler, not easier, but clearer. The endless inner debates are quieting. The need to justify yourself is weakening. The pull toward what drains you is losing strength. This is not because your life has suddenly become perfect. It is because your energy is no longer scattered. When energy gathers, clarity follows. This is the part many people miss. They think clarity comes first and action follows. But in truth, clarity comes when the soul stops leaking energy into places that no longer belong to it. That is what heaven has been sealing inside you during this pause. I want you to remember something ancient and true. There is a peace that surpasses understanding. It does not explain itself. It simply guards the heart. If you feel moments of calm without knowing why, that peace is standing watch over you. It is protecting what is forming. Soon, very soon, you will notice that your interest begins to return, but it will return selectively. Not everything will light up again. Only what is aligned, only what has a future with you. This is not loss. This is refinement. You are not meant to pour your life into many directions. You are meant to pour it into the right ones. When that quiet spark appears, do not dismiss it because it seems small. Heaven often whispers before it speaks. That gentle pull you feel towards something meaningful is not random curiosity, it is invitation, and you will not need to force yourself toward it. You will feel drawn, as naturally as a child is drawn to light. Trust what feels steady, distrust what feels frantic. I know you may worry about time, about whether you are late, about whether others are moving faster. But hear this with your whole heart. Those who move in alignment arrive at the right moment, even if their path looked slower. And those who rush without alignment often arrive early to places they were not meant to stay. You are not being delayed. You are being positioned. There is also something else happening that you may not have words for yet. Your tolerance for what is false is diminishing. You cannot unsee certain truths. You cannot unfeel certain misalignments. This may create distance between you and people or patterns you once accommodated. Let this happen gently. Release does not always require confrontation. Sometimes it simply requires honesty with yourself. Do not be afraid of outgrowing what once felt familiar. Growth always changes the landscape. Remember this as you move forward. God is close to the brokenhearted, but He is also close to the becoming heart. The heart that is shedding, learning, refining, and preparing. You are not losing your softness, you are protecting it. And as this new chapter begins to introduce itself, life will feel lighter. Not because it is effortless, but because you are no longer carrying what was never yours to carry. Your appetite for life will return, not for noise, not for distraction, but for depth, for truth, for purpose that feels like home. This is how heaven leads. Quietly, faithfully, personally. You were chosen not because you were loud, but because you were listening. Not because you were perfect, but because you were willing. And that willingness has already set things in motion you cannot yet see. Stay gentle with yourself in the days ahead. Honor the pauses. Follow what feels light. Release what feels heavy. And trust that what is meant for you will not need to be chased. I am with you as you step forward, and you are exactly where you need to be.